This is a little practice for everyone I know who's doing a challenging walk over this summer. Again, if you're doing a marathon rather than a walk, these things still apply. If you're walking, we're going to pay particular attention to the feet. So we see the first bits on the floor, ankles, the legs and the hips and the lower back. Obviously there's more, the neck and the shoulders, the whole postural thing, but we'll start here and see how we go on, and maybe we'll add some more. We're going to come into broken toe pose to begin with, which is aptly named. So normally when we would sit back into a little seat, we would bring the feet flat. This is also nice, but we're going to tuck the toes under. You might want to pad a bit of a blanket underneath your knees, depending on the state of your knees. And then can we sit those heels back on, sit the bum back onto the heels and maybe give that a little bit of a wriggle. By now, maybe you're swearing at the screen, which is totally fine. This is kind of a bit of a Marmite pose. If you haven't stretched your feet out in a while, you will be definitely not liking this. If you do, maybe you love it. Okay, at any point you can feel free to come out, and we're going to sit the feet into what we call plantar flexion or a ballet point and sit back onto those and do the same thing. I'm just going to bring a little wiggle to the hips. I'll show you from the side. There we're just wiggling from the hips, just spreading the weight across the feet. And you can repeat this as much or as often as you like. If you want to make it easier, I'm going to bring in some bricks. You can use books or anything to the side. So if it's too much, we bring the weight forward and we basically stop the weight of the shoulders and the ribs falling over the feet. You also might want to put something like a blanket between your bottom and the heels, especially if you've got tight backs of your legs. And just gently, we're going to just gently push down in this direction. And if it feels really good, we're going to fully load the shoulders over. And we can just backwards and forwards that. So we can sit back and come forwards, tuck the toes under, and tuck the toes flat, giving your body a little bit of rest, and then coming in, and a little bit of rest, and then coming back. Lovely. So there's one for the feet and the ankles. We're also going to work through the foot. I'm just going to show you on one foot in here. Get up close. So first of all, for the ankles, often if you're wearing a walking boots, we get quite tight around this point because it's quite restricted. This is because the fascia underneath it is, it's quite difficult to release. It's like a micro web, so it's like not deep muscles. So we're going to just pinch it, like peck at it. Like I'm just pinching it. So you're going to pinch around the ankle. It's the same setup as around the wrist. So if you find that your wrists need releasing, I don't know what you might be doing on your walk to release the wrists, but carrying a heavy water bottle, I don't know. So we're going to just pinch this. And again, this might be a little bit uncomfortable. So we can just pinch around the wrists. No, ankles, that'll be the one. The leg wrists. Nice. And again, I'm doing this quite quickly for the sake of the video. Feel free to spend your time here. We're now going to take I really like this one because it's really random. We're going to take the little finger and take it into the little toe. We're going to take the second finger and thread that down again, right into the base of the toes. By now you're probably thinking, what is this freak are doing now? We're going to take the third finger, drawing that in, the fourth finger into the big toe and the second toe, and the thumb kind of, let me see, the thumb wraps around, and then we're going to wiggle those fingers down into like the wells of the toes. These are the wells of the hands. I call it the U-bends of the toes. And then, I haven't done this for a while, I can tell. And we're just going to make little circles one way and the other. I'm working on the breath. It's going to help to work with the breath. And again, you might have no movement at all. You might have lots of movement. I do have a workout of the feet or a stretch out of the feet, which does take about 45 minutes. So again, I am slightly rushing this. If you're watching TV at night, this is a lovely thing to do. I would do this for maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, anywhere up to 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to pause there and take it to the next stage. The heel of the foot onto the heel of the hand. And then again, you can keep your fingers bound, or you can just hold it and make big circles, whatever we do. One way, we try and do the other way. I'm going to reposition so I'm sitting up a bit straighter. And then we're going to take into the toe underneath this knuckle here, so underneath the big toe knuckle. You can get your hands in there. Maybe you can find a point in this. This is kind of a point where you can get your thumb in. We call this point like the bubbling spring. This is a release point, a mama point. And even just by pressing into it, in me it's about there, you'll begin to feel how, let's just say you begin to feel it. And then from that point, we can just put a little bit of pressure in. And then we can, it's difficult to do this because normally we'd bring this foot in and we do it close to our bodies. But what I'm doing in essence is pulling the fascia from that point outwards. We're pulling it out and drawing it out. And then spreading that along the whole length of the foot, drawing this fascia, the plantar fascia, drawing it backwards against the back of the heel. And we can, again, take our time on this. I'm just doing it once or twice. And then drawing that fascia again around the back of the heel. And again, I'll be working here a little longer. I will massage into the top of the foot. So again, I'm going to do that little pulling, that little, I know I always think of like head pecking, peck, 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 peck. And then we can get right into there. So the fingers and the hands are very similar, only if you think of the webbing of the foot, it ends here. So the skin of the foot ends here. So imagine just doing this to your foot with your hands. So we can start off quite gentle like so. And then we can get right in. And again, if you've never done this before, feel free to swear under your breath. Feel free to say it out loud. And I always find that towards the little toe edge of the foot, for me, is where I find I carry more pain. But again, there's no hard and fast rule to where you're going to feel it. And then you can get in and around the ankle and expose the leg. And then we're going to get in and start to work up. So I'm bringing the hands into the foot. From the foot into the ankle, from the ankle into the back of the calf. Nice. And nice, just get in. And then we're going to work deep into the back muscles. So the two major muscles of the back, if you've got your gastrocnemius, which is the bulbous muscle of the back here, this bit here. And then this finds the soleus here. And I want you to think of finding the point where they both meet. So if you bring up your big toes or tense the foot, you'll maybe be able to see where this muscle ends. And then I want you to get your thumbs into that point. Again, this is much easier to show on someone else. And we're going to just take a massage down the back of this muscle and then up into the calf. Up into the calf. And again, I would spend a little bit more time here. We can take that up into the thigh, into the back of the hamstrings. And then onto the hamstrings connect, both on the inside and the outside of the knee. So we're going to take a little massage. I'm going to take the leg down for this and just gently kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm making pastry or something or bread. I would take that little massage the sides. Nice. These hamstrings connect up into your sit bones. Here comes the booty shot. We're going to get right up into the bum and you'll find that bony bit in there. You have to move the fleshy part of your butt away if you're lucky enough to have a fleshy butt, and then you can massage around this area. Or if you've got a tennis ball, take the tennis ball underneath and roll. That's a really good one actually. I'll do another video based on the tennis balls. That's a special little extra. Okay, so do that to the other side. Maybe you want to press this video now because that's already about nearly 10 minutes. Maybe this is a good time to pause. And then we're going to do a few other poses. So I'm going to move a little bit further away so that you can see what I'm doing. The first thing that I'm going to do is keep working with the calf muscle. We're going to stretch up into a downward facing dog. So coming onto your hands and your knees, shoulders over your wrists, tucking the toes under, pull the belly in, and as we draw the belly in, can we lift the knees with the navel, and then send your sit bones to the sky. Don't worry about your legs being straight. Find a space between your shoulders and your ears by drawing your shoulders east and west. Might feel really good on your lower back as well, especially if you're carrying a rucksack. And then can we just begin to paddle through the toes? And you know, maybe you want to take it deeper, maybe you're not quite as narrow. I can see in the frame I'm a little bit narrow. And then can we just bend one knee to draw the opposite heel away from us? And I'll come in closer so you can see. So let me come here. So I'm bending one knee in to draw the opposite heel back. And we can do that until we find release. And then coming down, another pose that we can do is to take, again, hands on all fours, and we can stretch the foot back, taking that leg away, and again, easing it back. If you wanted to bring in a full body stretch here, and I'm far too close to the camera, I have to move away a little further, we can lift the opposite arm. But again, I'm just beginning to focus on the calf muscle, so we just stay here. Again, do that to the other side. Maybe you want to pause. Nice. And then I always find after a day of walking, my lower back feels it. Obviously, because it's this movement, obviously slightly exaggerated for a long time, repetitive. So sitting back into child's pose. With child's pose, you can take your knees together or your knees apart. I'm going to show you from the front. So the knees come apart and we begin to roll into this space and maybe come down onto your forearms. You can also use bricks here if that feels too much, or a cushion or a pillow. You may be able to come down the whole way, drawing your sit bones back to the heels, maybe resting, excuse me, the head on a brick if that feels nice too. And thinking of, can I activate the finger pads to draw up and over through the wrists, the shoulders, down the sides of the body into the lats and the QLs, to the sit bones to the heels, heels to the feet. And again, take a few breaths here. Feel free to pause and come back. I am, for the sake of the video, doing this quickly. And then the same thing as we did before, can we find a little rock from side to side? So we're rocking on the shin bones. And then I like to bring a technical term, a juicy loosiness, into the shoulders, because maybe the shoulders and the upper back feel this. And at this point, I'm very soft in the forearms and the hands. And I'm just inviting a movement, a watery type fluid movement across the shin bones and seeing what happens without too much judgment. Am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? Again, to move nice and sweetly from there, take your right arm out to the side and sweep this left arm over. Maybe your hands can touch that hand on your opposite sit bone. So this is my right hand out. I'm going to take my left sit bone and just gently plop it over. That's a good term, isn't it? Plop. Sweep it over that left heel. And I'm feeling that lovely stretch in the left side body. And again, stay here for maybe 5 breaths. Using the magic of your exhale breath to find that lengthening, that feeling of elongation through the muscles. And on the inhale, we back off a little way. Try not to kind of think about getting to try not to let it think about pushing and going deeper. Just think about how much can I relax in this pose. Come back to center, same thing the other side. We take the left hand out, bring the right hand on top, and we again plop that right buttock over the right heel. Again, focusing on the breath into the belly breath, or trying to breathe into the sides of your ribs, in and out through the nose. And then coming all the way back. While we're here on the floor, we're going to come to a nice release of the hips. So take your feet wider than your hips. I'm going to show you front on and side on. So if I were on a yoga mat, my feet would be on the edges of my yoga mat, and just dropping the hips to zigzag, and then the other way. And I'm using my hands for stability behind. Nice. And then to amplify that, to give it a bit of a V12 boost, or just to supersize it, we're going to come to that Z legs, or we can come to 90-degree legs. So I would say begin at Z legs. It's slightly easier where your foot finds the thigh. And I'm going to bring the hands behind my head. Although you can just bring your hands across or bring the hands down. Hands down is easiest. But I'm going to keep my hands up so you can see what's going on with the bod. We're going to twist towards this right knee. And allow the joy to happen in the left knee, in the left thigh. You're going to hinge forward, but try not to like round through. Try and think of a long straight spine and a drawing forward. It doesn't matter where you come to. If your hands are over the chest, you might find more. If your hands are out to the side, you can dip down, come out of frame, but no worries at all. Same thing here. We're going to come forward, thinking of the belly button coming towards that heel. And again, you can take it just one breath in and come up, or you can hold it for 5 breaths, either way, whatever feels good. And begin to feel it in the TFL, the sides of your legs. You feel it in the quads. You might feel it across the sides of the as well, across the, what I call the belt of the hips. And again, pause the video, repeat, other side. Can do the swishing in between. We lift and we take the body over towards the opposite knee this time. Again, we can draw the hands down. Rather than thinking about finding depth, can you think about like taking off? So the body is like taking off like an aeroplane, like 30 degrees. So we angle in the body, and then let the exhale be passive, and that's where we find that we can fold a little deeper. Again, same thing as we come forwards. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and then exhale. Let's take in that. Whoa, this is the one. And again, stay there as long as you need. You can also break these up. You can do them midway of your walk. You can do them before you start and at the end. And then I'm going to finish with another kind of Z leg derivative, which we call pigeon pose, which is where we take the knee towards so I've got the right knee towards the right little finger of the right hand, and sliding this left leg backwards. And I'm going to bring in little micro circles, little movements of the pubic bone. Told you it'd get a bit kinky. So you're going to make those little circles with the pubic bone. Maybe bring your forearms down. And the reason why we're doing little circles is this is the fascia of the tops of the legs can get sticky, particularly if it has the same movement pattern. And what we're doing is by making circles, we're just allowing those fascial connections to unstick. As though you'd put a load of fruit or frozen peas in the freezer, and you'd gone to take out one packet and they'd all stuck together. If you wanted to kind of release those packets from each other, you just begin to give them a wiggle and a move. And actually, because the muscles are connected to the bones spiraling forms, I'm going to move so you can see me, hi, because they're moved in spiraling forms to de-stick those fascial sacs, those frozen peas, we spiral it out, we spiral it in and we spiral it out. If you want to take this deeper, a little stretch of your hip flexors, we can thinking of scissoring the back hip forward. Again, you can use your bricks. We can begin to rise up, and you can even get a nice quad stretch here by lifting the back leg. You can even hold that leg if you want. Be careful, you might get a hamstring cramp, because when we stretch the quads, we do the hamstring, and then we're going to sweep that other foot forward, bring the knees to stack again. I'll show you, you don't need to move. I'm just coming so you can see the knees are stacked somewhere against each other. You might need to sit yourself up on a cushion. I'm going to float the arms to the sky, and as we exhale, can we just extend the belly towards the legs? Again, stay here as long as you wish. And then we do that on the other side. So I'm going to transition from this pose, tuck the feet under, come back to that downward dog again. And this time bring your left leg in, taking the knee out to the sides by that little finger part of the hand. And again, making spirals, coming down onto the forearms. And like I say, I apologise for this video being quite dark. No expense spared in the production values here. But that's okay. It's definitely a cheapo production. No editing. Very little planning. And then again, maybe you want to rest that down, take a pillow or a brick under your chest, or a small person. Adopt a friend en route. And just sink that down. Be with your breath. Congratulate yourselves on what you've done so far. Thinking of what you're doing for someone else, for the charities that will benefit from the pain in your hips and the good that we send out to the world to hopefully receive back in another form. You know, what we give, we usually receive. Let's hope the universe works in that way. We can pick up the back foot. If you wish, you can begin to press down into this supporting leg to give you that uplift. Maybe hold the foot in, stretch it towards the bum. Maybe you can push it away, get that nice stretch in the shoulder, whatever feels hunky-dory, whatever feels pleasant. Maybe you're just beginning to pick that foot up and that's enough. Maybe you can hold it with both hands, or a nice stretch of the shoulder blades there. Drawing your ribs in. And then same as before, we sweep this leg around. We come to a position where the knees are somewhere stacking up on each other, and then we fold. Oh, a lovely stretch here on the beginning of the TFL, the sides of the thighs, as my friend says, transport for London, not the tensor fascia latae, what we call the side of the thigh, upper thigh or outer thigh. Kiss your legs. Thank them for their beauty, for holding you up, for getting you through this challenge. Bringing in your own sense of joy, of satisfaction. If you wanted to finish the practice, you can take the legs wide. Woohoo! Take the legs wide. We can bring the feet together, take the elbows into like a bat shape or a butterfly, fold that in, elbows coming in. Spine can be slightly rounded or flat, depending on how precious you are to the yoga postures. All of them are good. I like to keep my spine lifted and up. And we fold down, and again, hold it, 5 breaths. Thank you for taking on, looking after your body, for again this amazing thing you're doing for the charities that you're supporting. Namaste, namaskar. Enjoy the rest of your walk. I'll see you soon.